Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great week so far. I'm going to give you a quick breakdown. I just finished watching the Gervonta Davis Lamont Roach weigh-in. Okay, and the fight is tomorrow night, March 1st, 8 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on Amazon Prime pay-per-view. The price is set at $79.95. Okay, it has a pretty good undercard though. A couple title shots on there. You got Alberto Puello fighting Sandor Martin at 140 for a title, and you got Rayo Valenzuela. He's going to be fighting against Gary Antoine Russell, which is also a close fight. I'll give you guys my predictions on live tomorrow. I'm going to go live. Probably early. Okay, there's going to be a couple of YouTube preliminary fights, so I'll give you my predictions on those fights early on the card. I'm still a little unsure on both fights, and I haven't had enough time to watch film review or film study on those fights. All right. This was one of the fights where I was just kind of looking for ways and how Lamont Roach can make this competitive. I'm gonna be honest in this breakdown. I'm not gonna overly try to boost up Lamont Roach and make it seem like I think he has a great chance of winning this, and I don't believe that. I'm gonna be 100% real with you guys. I like Lamont Roach. He's a good fighter. He's very level-headed. He gives good interviews, and he actually seems to be very confident in himself going into this fight, which he should be. A lot of times I see a lot of fake confidence with these tank opponents sometimes, not that like the highest level ones, but I see a lot of fear in them, or I see a lot of fake confidence in them, and they lose before they even step in the ring, and Lamont, he's been very mature throughout this process, even in the periods where, when Tank was going out there saying that the fight was off, and, he was just showing himself, still training and preparing for the fight. He wasn't really paying attention to any of the outside noise. So I like him. I like his character, These guys do have history. They fought in the amateurs a couple times. They're both from the DMV area. Tank is from Bmore. Roach is from DC. They're both roughly around the same age. Lamont is 20. Well, 20. Yeah, he's 29. Tank is 30 now. They have history. Lamont is 25 wins with 10 knockouts, 1 loss and 1 draw. He lost to Jamel Herring. I believe that was a title shot back then at 130. He's been at 130 for the majority of his career. He has 1 draw as well. I think it was against Orlando Cruz, even further back, a couple of years before the Jamel Herring fight. He beat Hector Garcia, who was also a recent opponent for Tank, in a split decision win and became the WBA champ. Okay, that was a couple fights ago. Hector Garcia is a southpaw, so I did rewatch that fight. I saw Roach's recent fight against McRory, where he stopped him later in the later rounds of that fight. And that was another southpaw as well. So we knowing that Tank is a southpaw and everything. Those are a couple recent fights you should watch. Jamel Herring, I didn't go back on it because I had watched it not too long ago. And, I do think that Lamont Roach has improved since that fight. I know a lot of people see that loss specifically in knowing that Jamel had lost and got stopped by stopped by Shakur. A lot of people like to bring that up, which is fair because Shakur is like a rival to Tank and everybody wants to see that fight. And people like to go back to that fight specifically. But to be honest, man, when I think of Lamont Roach, he's a well-balanced fighter. I think he's good enough to win a title. 130 is a pretty weak division right now. Let's be 100% honest right now. There's no one that's a top 20 pound for pound fighter at 130, in my opinion. I think Navarrete, you can make an argument that he is. I think he's the only fighter that's been kind of that conversation. Um, but outside of him, it's not a strong division right now. You know, a lot of guys moved up from 130 to 135, and it's just not a strong division right now. And he is a title holder, and Hector Garcia is a good fighter. But you know, there's title holders and there's elite, like super elite. And Tank Davis, regardless of how you feel about his resume, he's clearly one of the best fighters out there. You know what I mean? I don't think he fights the people that I would like to see him fight. But when it comes to fighting people on this level, high title holders, you know, or former title holders, or, you know, I don't see Tank actually struggling against anyone unless it's another super elite fighter, you know, like a Shakur or like a Devin Haney. I mean, he did fight Ryan, but Ryan wasn't really proven to be that at that time. And not only that, but you know, there's a catch weight rehydration cost thing. Ryan hadn't fought at the weight down at that weight in a while, you know. So you know, and I don't want to take anything away from Tank winning that fight because at the end of the day, Ryan agreed to come down and fight at that catch weight, you know, and he agreed to those terms. It's not like agreeing to terms with Devin and going in over 3 pounds over, you know what I mean? It's not the same situation. But with that being said, Tank, 30 wins, 28 knockouts at this point. These guys are roughly naturally around the same size. You know, they're both, I think Lamont's a little slightly taller, but he's not nearly as tall as some of the other opponents that Tank has faced in recent years. You know, roughly around the same reach. But again, when it comes to styles, I mean, winning the title and being a champion is one thing, but Roach is a very balanced fighter. You know, he has a lot more dog in him now than he's had. You know, he's sitting down on his punches more. He's flat footed. He can, you know, he can fight a dog fight. He can fight on the back foot and counter. He's solid in everything, but he's not great at one specific thing. Like he's not really that fast. He doesn't have like really quick reflexes or anything. He's not that powerful. He's proven to be durable, but now he's fighting one of the biggest punchers out there. His defense is solid, but again, it's like he's solid across the board. There's nothing here that he brings that is greater than what Tank can do. Tank has proven, in with the experience he's had, he's proven that he's better at every level here. You know, usually fighters come in with something that can be a little problematic for Tank. Normally, you know, Frank Martin, for example, very fast, very explosive, you know, moved very well. I think in those areas, like, those are strong points that I have over a Lamont Roach. You know, Ryan Garcia, very fast, very powerful. You know what I mean? Bigger than Tank, you know. It's just Mario Barrios, tall, rangy, you know, knew how to keep Tank for a certain amount of that fight on the end of his jab. I don't really know what Lamont Roach is going to do because Tank is better in every area. He has the higher IQ than me. He's a lot more technical than me. He's way faster than Lamont Roach. He's more powerful. He's proven to be more durable. Like, he has more experience. I mean, everything that he does is better than Lamont Roach to me. You know, even like when we're looking at where they're gonna be standing in front of each other, if the fighting's in the center of the ring and it's a battle, if they're fencing or they're probing and they're touching that lead hand, it's a battle of like lead foot dominance. Even in that area, I think Tank is better. His his counters are shorter and quicker on the inside. And when I was watching the Hector Garcia fight, it gave me everything I needed to know about how this fight is going to go. And we can't always base things off previous fights. I mean, Lamont Roach might be stronger, coming up to 135. Like his punch resistance might be better. His power might be a little better. I mean, he doesn't have to cut down as much, and he hit 135 right on the dot. So he might be better at this division, because he doesn't have to cut down as much. So he might be stronger. But when I look at the two and I look at like the Hector Garcia fight, and I believe that Lamont should have won that fight. It was a close fight, but I think Lamont did the right thing. But you can't ignore Lamont and the way that he telegraphs his punches still, and how Hector was able to just sneak his counters, his hook on the inside while Lamont was setting up ready to throw. Once Tank is in range here, and he will be at range, because I don't think Lamont is as difficult of a fighter, or difficult as in trying to get in range for, as some of the other people that Tank has fought. I think range, when it comes to getting in range and being the guy with the shorter reach, I don't think Tank is going to have that many issues of getting in there. And I've seen Tank with Leo Santa Cruz and Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero and some of these guys that had some sort of success somewhere in a fight. But nothing, if you're doing the same thing, it's going to work out against you. Whatever you're having success in, Tank is going to figure it out. It really depends. Like at this level, Tank can do what he wants to do. If he wants to fight on the back foot, or if he wants to move around the ring laterally, if Lamont is going to be trying to walk him down, he'll just outpoint you and set traps and counter and roll out of there and move. Or if he wants to come forward, maybe take a few more punches on his way in, but to counter you, you know what I mean, and rough you up on the inside, he's going to be able to do that too. Again, Lamont, too flat-footed, doesn't have the speed, doesn't have the reflexes, the twitch-like reflexes like a Shakur Stevenson have. There's nothing really there for me to say like he's winning this fight. I think this is a tune-up for Tank. For Tank, it's a tune-up. For Tank, it's a tune-up. For anybody else, it's a solid fight. But for Tank, it's a tune-up, in my opinion. Because Tank is going to be able to read Lamont Roach and beat him to the punch. And really, in my opinion, I think it's all about when does Tank do it. Some people are saying it's going to be early as far as knocking him out. I'm thinking more 6 to 8 rounds. I'm in that area. But Lamont Roach, I think he's been down before. I believe. Don't quote me on that. But I don't know how durable he is. All I know is that he looks healthy at the weigh-in. He looks strong. So it could be one of those ones where like Tank is dominating, but he just can't get the knockout going. I really think the debate is about how did this fight end and where does it end? At what point of the fight does it end? Does Tank want to make a fight out of it? Because I think Tank's approach is always based on how much he respects the opponent. And I know he respects Lamont, but does he respect him to a point where he feel like he's dangerous? And I don't think that Lamont is really dangerous for Tank. You know what I mean? I think when he fought Ryan, the way Ryan charged at him, Tank had to be very defensive in certain fights, like early Rolly fight. He had to be very defensive. But when he fought like a Hector Garcia, he wasn't defensive. He wasn't defensive against Leo Santa Cruz. He kind of just walked him down and did what he wanted to do, and took the punches to get on his way in. You know what I mean? Um, Tank is winning to me. I think Tank gets it done in the third quarter. And when I say that, I think after 6, maybe around 9, the latest. I think he's somewhere. I don't see it going past 10. But I don't see it being stopped earlier than 6. I think it's gonna be a fight. I just think Lamont's too slow, too flat-footed, too easy to counter it with those quick counters on the inside. That lead foot dominance is gonna be really noticeable with Tank. And in the hand speed, the difference in hand speed, it's gonna be very, very noticeable right away. I think with Tank, yeah, he has some defensive flaws in certain fights. I think sometimes he overextends with the left hand. Normally he's fighting guys that are much rangier and stuff. But in this fight here, I don't really see him having to do that because I think Lamont is kind of right in front of me. Lamont is a good counter puncher, but again, when it comes to speed and timing, Tank got it. And I haven't seen Lamont fight anyone outside of Hector Garcia that's going to have the level of feints and stuff. Those little tricky things that Gervonta do, it's going to give him issues. So I have Tank winning this. Again, Lamont's a good fighter. I think the undercards are some better matchups there, though, in my opinion. But Lamont's a good. I'm glad he's getting the bag and everything, but this is not a quality fight for Tank, and I hope that if he is serious about leaving the sport, I hope he gives us at least 1 or 2 guys that we really wanted to see him face. And I'm talking more about Shakur, or maybe a Lomachenko if that guy even comes back. He's probably not coming back. We're not getting that fight. I don't even want to bring his name up because he's not even fighting. But I hope at least Shakur, we get at 135. I don't know if we're going to get Haney, all those guys that moved up. But I'm hoping we get something like that, for real. All right? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please subscribe to the channel, and I will see you tomorrow night on the live. All right? Peace.